Peace, love, and light. Welcome to the existence changing experience that is the Institute of Biblical Studies and Higher Consciousness. And I'm the founder, the pastor, the teacher here, Pastor Walker, your guide on the road to spiritual excellence and evolution. Certainly, I'm giving honor to the creator of all for the life spark and the ability to come with you and share this information. I'm grateful for those of you that join in with us every week on Zoom. And for those of you that view these videos after they're posted to YouTube, I just humbly ask that if this video or the videos on my channel are a blessing to you, to please like, share, and subscribe. And I also would like to invite you to partner with us and share love offering in regards to the work to show your appreciation for the word. The scripture says to muzzle not the ox that treads out the corn. And I do believe that a love offering, a gift shared towards us would definitely set forth the motion of currency return in your life. And if you would love to partner with us or share a love offering, a gift, you can cash out us at money sign IBSHC. That's money sign, the Institute of Biblical Studies and Higher Consciousness, IBSHC. I'm grateful still for the inspirational ministry. We haven't posted in a couple weeks, because sometimes life is life. But I'm grateful for those that are still viewing the videos that are on, that are still finding inspiration. Because the bottom line is we're here to help motivate, educate, enlighten anyone and everyone that is willing to lend an ear. Because the scripture says, whosoever has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church, the assembly, the synagogue, to the world. And I'm grateful for those of you that faithfully watch and view the videos. And I'm grateful for those that faithfully share in the life of this work. And looking forward to greater things to come in the near future. We're going to go ahead and affirm in. And then we're just going to go ahead and get rolling with the lesson topic for this week. I believe that it'll be of encouragement and an upliftment to you. Please disregard my shirt. Even though you fold it, after you wash it, the wrinkles still come. But there's no wrinkle in the word. So let us affirm in, and then we're going to just go ahead and dive in. Of course, today, we're going to be building the foundation. I will not, especially this topic. This might be a part 2 or 3 or maybe a 4. Hopefully not, but I'm not going to rush it because it's a very, very important topic. So let us affirm in. Creator of all, we give all esteem and praise. We're thankful for the life spark, the energy to animate this body that we live in. We're grateful for the eternal, for our ancestors, spirit guides, the angels, universal energies. We're grateful for every good and perfect gift being given unto us and doors open and ways made. Thank you for every answer that comes to us and every upliftment. We are so grateful for all things because all things are one and all things are common. And everything leads into the building of our character and the empowerment of our soul. We humble ourselves and confess that we have no sin. And if any universal laws or divine laws that we have broken or transgressed, we align ourselves even now that we may grow stronger, wiser, and evolve into the being that we were sent here to accomplish the purpose that we were sent here to do. I humbly ask that you would think through my mind and speak through my mouth, those things which are beneficial for the edification of those listening. I open myself up to the wisdom of the ancients, to the wisdom of the ancestors and the angels and spirit guides, that I may share a word that will change the life of each and every person that view this video. I speak these things in the name of the divine, that it may come before the throne of the Almighty, so be it. Again, welcome to the existence changing experience that is the Institute of Biblical Studies and Higher Consciousness. And I am Pastor Walker, here gratefully, humbly, excited to share the word as it's constantly given to me. I don't sit and meditate and all of that all the time to get a message. Or should I say, I don't sit in silence all the time. Like some people try to pretend that I had a meeting with the Most High. Sometimes inspiration comes as you're studying and researching and listening to other things. And when my spirit speaks to me and say, look at that, I grab my phone, I go to video, and I speak the thought into the phone so I don't forget, because there were days that I had good thoughts, good messages, that I was inspired, but I was driving and couldn't talk to put it down. So I've learned, I've gained wisdom. Grab your phone, speak it to the video, and then come back and do the research. So today's topic is a topic that I believe that will greatly benefit those of us that are viewing this video, that are listening to the information that's given, because it affects our everyday life. And I never really thought about it, I guess, until it was just this time to go forward with this message. And I was listening to an informational video, and as I was listening to it, it fell in my spirit to get into this topic. We have no clue of how much this lesson topic really governs and affects our lives. But that is why we're here. We are here to educate and to enlighten, to bring us to a higher consciousness, so that when we're interacting in life, when we're going forward, when we're interacting every day, when we're observing the environments around us, that we are cognizant, that we are aware of what is going on. I just got done with the lesson topic on etymology, because we need to know and acknowledge the root of every word that we're using, to know that this language, that language in itself, was set up to entrap us because of the power that we have through our throat chakra to speak it to existence. If the so-called creator was able to speak it to existence, and it was, and it became, and it is, and he said that we are in his image and in his image or likeness, then we possess the same ability. And the ancients knew that, which is why they governed themselves in a proper way. They didn't have a whole lot of useless talk. They didn't do a whole lot of jesting and joking. They spoke when it was necessary, because they know that their words were going to manifest. And then for those that spoke in telepathy, in a telepathic way, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Excuse me. They spoke through their minds. And those that are coming to a certain enlightenment and awakening are beginning to tap back into that. So today's lesson topic, for those of you that get your Bibles, iPods, iPads, laptops, scriptures, desktops, iPhones, Samsungs, any way that you're viewing the word, go with me to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. We're going to read verse 17 through 21. I'm going to drop the title of the lesson, excuse me. I'm about to do it in gospel order, the way we used to do it in the church. 1 Corinthians, go with me to 1 Corinthians, chapter. We're going to start reading verse 17 through 21. And it reads, "For we, being many, are one bread and one body." That's the universal law of oneness. Okay? "For we, being many, are one bread and one body. For we are all partakers of that one bread." What one bread? The Spirit. The one life force the one life force that gives us animation, that empowers us. The one thing that gives us all might and strength, the one thing that connects us universally, because we're all universally connected. Not only mankind, but every entity that has the life, breath, animal, plant, all of those things of that one bread, that one spirit. Verse 18, behold, Israel, after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar? Let me read that again. Behold, Israel, after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar? Are not though they are partakers of the altar? If they eat of the sacrifice, they're partaking of what's been sacrificed on the altar. For example, if I sacrifice a lamb to the Creator and burn that offering and cook that meat, and the priests begin to eat, if they give me some of that bread, I'm a partaker of that sacrifice. For whatever means, whatever reason, to whatever deity, I'm a partaker of that sacrifice. What say I then? That the idols is anything, that the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice unto devils and not to God. And I would not that ye will have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the devils. Now, the people that sacrifice to so-called idols are sacrificing to devils. There are evil entities, there are evil beings that stand to gain from sacrifices through you. Okay? He said, I would not that you have fellowship with devils. Well, no one would. And devils are adversaries. Devils are evil people, evil entities. Because you can't be on two different teams at the same time. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the devils. Today's lesson topic is rituals. Rituals. Because right here, what he is doing, he is describing a ritualistic process. And he's showing that there could be towards an evil entity or a good entity, a good deity or evil deity, depending on the people. Now, we're gonna clarify some things in this lesson topic because things weren't classified as devils and evil until the establishment of organized religion, Catholicism, Christianity, Hebrewism, and Islam. That's when things begin to be demonized. So I'm not going to put a whole bunch of weight on sacrificing the devils because there was a way that was far more ancient before these came along to try to demonize them that the ancients utilized to keep this world going, to gain certain results. Just because the Catholic Church deemed it evil and enforced it through Christianity does not mean it was evil. It means that they deemed it evil. Why? Because I want you to go the way I established, which is a result of this lesson topic, rituals, because they perform rituals to get you, and I was at one time, in the religion. Now, some people are not going to like this topic because it's gonna shed some light and truth on what we've been indoctrinated in from time of our recollection of knowledge from birth. He's describing a ritual. And we're going to break this thing down even further. But to begin with the foundation, we're going to break down what is a ritual. What is a ritual? Ritual, a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. A prescribed order. The prescribed order of performing a ceremony, especially one characteristic of a particular religion or church. A series of actions or type of behavior regularly and invariably followed by someone. We participate in rituals in one form, fashion, or another. Our very existence in this world is a product of different rituals that have been established for different reasons, but the primary reason is control. What is the exact meaning of a ritual? A ritual is a repeated, pay attention to these words, a repeated, structured sequence of actions or behaviors that alters the internal or external state of an individual, group, or environment, regardless of conscious understanding, emotional context, and symbolic meaning. That means you could be partaking in a ritual and not even know it. And you could be conscious and know and see the ritual, but because it's something that's necessary for your existence in this life, you have to partake in that baby. But it's better to partake in it knowing so that you can put up a defense around its results rather than unknowing. Because when you know, when you're conscious, you can't be controlled. I'm going to read that definition one more time. A ritual is a repeated, structured sequence of actions or behaviors that alters an internal or external state of an individual, group, or environment, regardless of conscious understanding, emotional context, or symbolic meaning. The powers that be are fully aware of the signs and symbols and the rituals that they're performing, and they perform before your face, and they actually get you to participate in those rituals per se. And I'm gonna touch on some rituals, some examples, and some people are not gonna like it. Why? Because this is all we did my whole life. Now it's the time for awakening. Now it's time for elevation. Now, there are 4 types of rituals that are performed. 4 types. You have the magic action, which are rituals invoking supernatural forces or energies to achieve desired outcomes. That's when you see in the movie when they put the little pentagram in the floor and all that, burning the candles and all of that. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially from ancient times. It's mainly the motivation, the intent behind it that makes it evil. Just like Yahushua, Jesus said this, that which goeth in a man does not defile him, but that which cometh out of a man defiles him. Your intent is what purifies or demonizes what the motivation of what you're doing. The second type of ritual, 95% of the world is in this, or 80%, Religious action. Yes, going to church is a ritual. Rituals are performed in various religious traditions to express faith and devotion. Substantive is another one. Substantive rituals. Substantive rituals are rituals that contain cultural significance, such as initiations and graduations. Yes, your high school, your college graduation is a freaking ritual. That fraternity you join, ritual. That club you join, ritual. And then you have the factitive ritual. Factitive rituals are rituals that are carried out to alter the nature or purpose of an object or entity, such as the carving of Native American totem poles out of trees to mark ceremonial place. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. The first one, magic. Let's talk about it. Magic action refers to a set of ritual practices meant to access supernatural power or energy and use it to influence the natural world, according to Tyson in 1992. That was in this book. Okay. The powers that be utilize magic action to access supernatural energy to use it to influence the world. You're being influenced and don't even know it because you indirectly performing rituals. Now, once you become knowledgeable of rituals and what rituals you perform, you have a choice. You can stop performing the ritual, or you can do it under knowledge, knowing that, okay, I know that this is a ritual, but I like doing this particular thing, so I'm not going to put so much energy and emotion into it. Because the entity that ritual is being performed toward, remember when it said that they sacrifice the idol, they that sacrifice the idol sacrifice the devils? The entity at the end, whether good or bad, good or evil, at the other side of that ritual is receiving the energy from your life force as an offering. Magical practices have played a major role in many cultures worldwide, from Africa to Native America and ancient European societies. Magic has been an integral part of their traditions for thousands of years, especially before Christianity. The earliest records show that civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia were already engaged in various forms of this practice, from witchcraft, shamanism, to sorcery, according to Miller and Brandon in 2014. But these people, they knew the purity of what they were doing. They weren't doing for evil practices and evil purposes. And Egypt and Mesopotamia, or Kemet, existed in a long time before Christianity was even established. And most of the time, the rituals that they performed were technological rituals. It was technology. It was magic technology, science. In general, magic seeks to control or manipulate nature through supernatural means. This can involve invoking deities or spirits and casting spells or curses, using specific words or objects believed to have magical properties, according to Tyson in 1992. In some cases, magic also involves using drugs or other substances that enhance spiritual awareness and facilitate communication with unseen powers. That's why they outlawed psychedelic drugs, because too many people were waking up. Too many people were coming to, were were coming into their supernatural abilities. So they decided to take us another way, a way to calcify your pineal gland and keep you from accessing that side of you, which is the real you. This flesh is not the real you. The real you is the spirit that's animated inside. Because when this body dies, that spirit is still alive. There are different types of magic actions that practitioners may engage in, such as protective magic, aim at warding off evil spirits from homes, divination, intended to see into the future so that people can plan accordingly, healing ceremonies for addressing physical and spiritual ailments, fertility rites that aim at boosting agricultural productivity, among others, according to Hughes in 2018. See, when the ancients partook in this, there was a pureness about it. They had a sincere motivation behind it. Now you have the powers that be that have gotten control to this esoteric knowledge, and they are utilizing every means and method to alter you, to keep you from being able to tap into that, while still simultaneously causing you to participate in rituals that empower them and the deities that they're working with, the beings that they're working with. Magic action is an essential part of human history, found across the globe, across global cultures, and considered capable of creating changes in the world beyond what can be seen, either physically or scientifically. It remains relevant today through different forms such as witchcraft, divination, and shamanism, being an essential part of cultural heritage to be passed down from one generation to another. An example of that is voodoo and Wiccan spells. Now, how do civilizations survive all this time and protect themselves? Because they were able to pass this knowledge down from generation to generation. There were certain ones that were born or incarnated here that were created to utilize and wield this ability to help their villages, to help their towns, to help their civilizations. It wasn't about domination the way that it is now, with the people that rule this world now. Second one, religious action. Religious action comprises of a set of practices, ceremonies, and rituals that are associated with organized religions or individual spiritual beliefs, according to Hoffman, 2013. These religious actions typically involve worship and devotion to deities or gods and other divine commands, expressing gratitude toward these divine powers and seeking blessings for oneself or loved ones. The origins of religious rituals can be tracked back to prehistoric times, when humans believed that supernatural powers were beyond their control that influenced different aspects of their lives, according to Reynolds in 2018. Everything that we've been taught in religion is a ritual. Coming into your room, lighting your candle, turning on your worship music, and praying before God, it's a ritual. Reading your scripture, ritual. Going into church, order of service, prayer, praise song, prayer, scripture, announcements, praise and worship, word, ritual. All of it is ritual. That's why you have so many people that can be so captivated and taken advantage of. As organizations developed, religion began to take a more structured and organized forms that included temples, clergy, holy texts, festivals, and other specific practices related to particular gods or deities. Hoffman, 2013. Many of the world's religions emphasize religious action as a core component of their practice. In Christianity, for instance, attending church services such as Sunday Mass is essential to religious life. Religious actions also sometimes performed for specific purposes based on religious actions are also sometimes performed for specific purposes based on prevailing social norms. Yes, Hebrew Israelite, keeping the feast days, keeping the Sabbath is a ritual. Yes, Muslim, going into the mosque, bow to the daggone Kaaba stone, ritual. For instance, over time, funeral traditions have developed across multiple cultures, often involving specific ceremonies aimed at honoring the deceased person's spirit before finally laying them at rest according to specific customs. So religious action represents a central aspect rooted within organized religion, yet it's also prominent among individuals' personal spiritual practices. These traditional practices serve to provide comfort while creating space for personal reflection. They allow practitioners to connect with something beyond themselves, both tangible and intangible, while fulfilling both spiritual and communal needs capable of bringing comfort, peace, and acceptance to the group or individual. The only problem with that is it takes you outside of yourself. It takes you to a deity outside of you. Instead of you looking aside for the deity that's inside of you and connected to that, that cuts your power off. But that's what these rituals were created to do, to keep you from becoming God in the flesh. Two examples of religious action is baptism and daily prayer. Oh, let somebody so-called get saved and never been baptized, never been immersed. Oh, your fulfillment to Christ, your fulfillment to Hamashiach is not complete if you ain't did a baptism or an immersion. Why? Because Jesus, Yahushua, he was immersed by Yohanan, by John the Baptist. So because he was immersed, that means I got to be immersed too. Why I just can't? I thought believing, if thou wilt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in thine heart that God has raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Then why I got to get immersed? Because it's a ritual. It is a ceremony. It is an outward showing. It is a sacrifice of the old man, putting him to death, and a resurrection of the new. It's a ritual. Next, substantive or constitutive ritual. This ritual refers to a set of actions that establish new relationships and social realities within the community. Land 2018. These rituals, are performed to create a permanent change in status, identity, or membership within a larger community, according to Grimes 2014. The origins of substantive rituals can be tracked back to ancient cultures where significant events such as marriages, births, and deaths were celebrated using specific ceremonies by establishing protocols. These rituals, or established protocols, these rituals serve as significant markers of transformation from one stage of life to another, to cement the initiation process concerning society's predominant customs. So, substantive or constitutive rituals are essential in cementing social realities within communities through custom and traditional protocols shaping communal behaviors. Now, in the indigenous, the younger men, the boys were taken from their mothers at age 10 and put with the men so they can learn how to track and hunt, so they can learn how to build and fight. That was a ritual. In the movie 300, they were sent out to survive, to steal, kill, and eat, to do whatever it took to survive, to come back to prove themselves as a Spartan. He hold it hurt, her head it hurt, it hurt. That was the music when Leonidas came back after killing that wolf. But you have rituals. When you join a fraternity or a sorority or any organization that go through the initiation process, like I did as a Mason at one time, that's a ritual. Now, the deity, at the end of that ritual, you don't know it offhand. Now, some people want to say that Baphomet is the god of the Masons. No, it's not. The Baphomet, it was a depiction of esoteric energy that was later granted by Timothy LaVey, or whatever his name is, when he raised up the Satanic Church, and he utilized the goat head to symbolize Satan. But that was not the beginning of the Baphomet. And the Baphomet was actually when the Knights Templars were captured and tortured to give up the gold and all of that, and to see what God they were serving. They said the Baphomet because they were being tortured. And later on, it was depicted in a picture and then used by Timothy LaVey to represent Satan, or Satan, or a demon. But Baphomet is not a demon. It's a symbol of cosmic esoteric energy. But we were taught that it's the god of the Masons. No, it's not. But whatever you partake in that, just like whatever fraternity or sorority, you have a relationship with those, your brothers and sisters in that fraternity or sorority. You have a lifelong bond with them and you don't even know them until you come in contact with them and they find out that you're in their organization. Now, these symbolic actions act as formal stepping stones for transitions between stages in individuals' lives, marking progressions. Stop it. Marking progressions from one phase to another, helping establish relationships between individuals beyond themselves toward a more significant identity. Now, two examples of that is marriage, because two people become one. The wife takes on the husband's last name. And a coming of age ceremony, which like the Jews have when their children become of age, they call it a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah. We call it sweet 16 birthday parties. Factitative rituals. These rituals refer to a set of actions that transform objects or entities into something different through symbolic actions. These rituals are carried out to alter the nature or purpose of an object or entity, imbuing it with special significance or value. The origins of factitative rituals can be tracked back to ancient cultures where people believe that certain objects, elements has spiritual power. And that's according to Ford and Gluckman in 1975. By performing specific rituals, they believe that such objects could be transformed into items with magical properties and used for various purposes. The powers that be utilize signs, symbols, and colors, and we're going to get into that one day, to directly affect the environment. They take those symbols to completely change the environment They utilize the spiritual powers in those signs and symbols and colors to entrap you through your subconscious mind. So factitative rituals, factitative rituals help establish symbolism while you transforming an object's perceived notions, enhancing spiritual value imbued with renewed importance. They represent deeply entrenched aspects, typifying heritage passed from generation to generation, changing over time, and reflecting cultural values. These practices serve as salient markers indicating changes impacting physical and spiritual reality, encouraging continued faithfulness and traditions passed from legacy practitioners. Now, example of that is Holy Communion and animal sacrifices. So eat the bread and drink the wine so we can have sweet communion. Fred Hammond. But we are falling prey or victim unawares to each of these 4 ritualistic practices. But I thought going to church was a good thing. It's a ritual. And depending on the church you're going to, because the church itself, the word church comes from the word kirch, okay? It's like a Germanic word, kirch, Krrch or Circe, which represents Circe or Circe, which was a Greek goddess that utilized her powers to turn the crew of Odysseus into animals, into swine. And she utilized that as leverage to get Odysseus to procreate with her while she had him trapped on her island and give her a male heir before she would release him to go back to his family. She trapped him at sea. So she is perceived as the goddess of witchcraft, to the which you go to the house of witchcraft every week when you go to church. And depending on the pastor, well, it don't depend on the pastor because the doctrine itself is witchcraft, a control of your mind. You're performing a ritual that you weren't even cognizant of before coming into this life and being indoctrinated into. It's a ritual created by the Roman Catholic Church, established through Christianity. Christianity has nothing to do with Christ or the Christ consciousness or Jesus. It was about political control over the people. Do your research. Look it up. There's a book by Joseph Gare called How the Great Religions Began that you can read, and it goes into that. Now, I found that information on, for those of you that saw me, heard me calling them names and them dates out for sites, you can go to helpfulprofessor.com and look up types of rituals. Back to rituals. Rituals are a way of doing something in which the same actions are done in the same way every time. It becomes a habit after that. A fixed set of actions and words, especially as a part of a religious ceremony. A ritual is a repeated, structured sequence of actions or behaviors that alters, reemphasizing, reiterating the internal or external state of an individual, group, or environment, regardless of conscious understanding, emotional context, or symbolic meaning. Rituals are designed to program your subconscious mind, whether good or evil. They are created to get you in a loop, in a habit of performance, yielding the energy, a sacrifice for whatever deity or entity that's at the beginning of that ritual. We just got done celebrating a ritual, Christmas. Oh, but I thought Christmas was the day of Jesus' birth. Wrong. Because first and foremost, the actual man himself was not born on December 25th. But Jesus is a representation of the supernatural, of what you are supposed to become and how to become it. There were several beings acknowledged prior to the so-called birth of Jesus that were celebrated during the same time. Dionysus, Mithra, and so on, et cetera, et cetera. I have all of those, and I can teach on one of those one day to show you the different deities that were acknowledged before Jesus was even thought of. But we just got done going into the Christmas season, coming out of Christmas season. Well, why you ain't talk about this before Christmas at one time? Now we can talk about it. Christmas. Its origin was Saturnalia. Saturnalia is a popular Roman festival in honor of the god of agriculture and time, Saturn. But I thought Saturn was a planet. Saturn is represented as a god as well. Now, Saturnalia, it is akin to Sol Invictus, okay, which the Emperor Constantine acknowledged this deity, and he had a coin with his face on the front, and on the back it said "Until the Unconquered Sun." Okay, it is akin to Sol Invictus, which means unconquered sun. Now, walk with me. Don't get upset because I'm talking about your Christmas, because I'm bringing out some truth that you might not be ready for, or you don't probably heard it and want to ignore. Saturnalia was akin to the Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, hence the winter solstice. Saturday is also the day dedicated to Saturn. Yes, today is the day of Saturn. Saturn's day. Saturn is also the Roman god of wealth and liberation, identified with the Roman Greco Titan Cronus, which was the father of Zeus or Jupiter. Saturnalia was characterized by a week-long, from December 17th to the 23rd, revelry, gift-giving, and social role reversals. In other words, revelry was drinking and sexing. We're going to go into that a little deeper. Gift-giving and social role reversals, where the rich people would swap places with the poor people and allow the poor people to be rich for a day. It celebrated a golden age with feasting, gambling, and the suspension of social hierarchies, which means when no crime, there was no law that you can break that day. Where slaves and masters reversed roles. Originating as a one-day feast, it became a major multi-day holiday, often seen as a precursor to Christmas, marked by the cry, "Lo, Saturnalia." Sol Invictus was also associated with December 25th, which is the birth of the unconquered sun, and later influencing Christian iconography. John, the second chapter, verse 19 says this. Jesus said unto them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? And he spake of the temple of his body. Now, I use this because even though he was talking about when the Holy oil comes from the sacrament down the spine and charged by the Kundalini Kuna buffer, comes back up, bing, ignites the crystals in your pineal gland, bang, your third eye's open. Now, enlightenment, awakening. But I used it because he talked about the 3 days, because 3 days are significance. Matthew, the 12th chapter, verse 40. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. 3 days, 3 nights, significance, belly and earth. Hold on to that. Malachi, 4th chapter, verse 3. But until you that fear my name shall the Son, S-U-N, of righteousness arise with healing in his wings. Ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. The Son of righteousness rising. How long? After 3 days with healing in his wings. See, a lot of people don't recognize that the winter solstice is the result of, back in ancient times, during this time of the year, the sun. I'm going to go into the solstice process. Let's do that. The winter solstice process. The winter solstice, December 23rd or 22nd in the northern hemisphere, features the sun at its lowest daily maximum altitude, resulting in the shortest day, longest night. At that time, the ancients, because the night was so long, they thought that the sun was not going to come back. Longest night and longest shadows of the year. The Earth's tilt causes the sun to strike the northern hemisphere at a low angle, delivering less heat. Lowest arc. Lowest, not Noah's. Lowest arc. In the northern hemisphere, the sun travels the shortest path through the sky, appearing at its lowest point. Minimum daylight is a result of this. Okay? This day has the least amount of direct sunlight, with some northern locations experiencing few hours of daylight. The position. The sun is directly over the tropic or Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south. The polar regions. The areas near the North Pole may experience continuous darkness, polar night. Shadows. Because the sun is at its low in the sky, shadows are long throughout the day. These festivals were created to bear gifts to the sun in order to encourage the sun to return. But there is a metaphysical significance to the winter solstice that was corrupted through the rituals that were created in Saturnalia and Sol Invictus. Saturnalia history and significance. Saturnalia's origin was first mentioned in the 1st century BCE. It was a midwinter festival honoring Saturn to celebrate the end of the harvest and the winter solstice. The Golden Age. The Romans believed that Saturn ruled a time of peace and equity. So they recreated this by temporarily suspending social norms, allowing slaves to be treated as equals for even served by their masters. Now, key customs. Sigillaria was the exchange of small clay or wax figurines, sigillaria, as gifts. That's where your gift giving began with. It didn't begin with no 3 wise men coming to back gifts to Jesus, traveling by camelback at a distance that was like 15,000 miles in 3 days. Come on, man. How is that possible? Ray Higgins, boy, he's something else. The second custom, Peleus cap. Citizens wore the Peleus, a felt cap signifying freedom, usually worn by freed slaves. Lord of Misrule. A mock king of Saturnalia was chosen to lead the festivals. Activities. Now you got the pastor that's leading the festivals. Activities. Excessive eating, drinking, and public gambling, often with nuts. Now, its influences on modern holidays. Many Christmas traditions, such as candle lighting, gift giving, and festive greenery, trimming the trees, are believed to have originated from Saturnalia. The Saturnalia event period, the original date was December 17th, which was the start of the winter solstice. The extended celebration in later Roman Republic, in the latter, or in the later Roman Republic and Empire, the celebration, expanded, commonly expanded from December 17th to December 23rd. Now, from December 23rd to December 25th, it's the solstice. That is why they celebrated Sol Invictus, because once the sun came back into its prominence after the day of December 25th, that's why it was so significant to make Jesus and Mithra and Dionysus and all of these other entities or deities prominent in their birth, because they're doing that time that the sun is reborn. I even noticed yesterday that the sun was up a lot longer yesterday than usual, because we're transitioning in the spring. Greeting cards for Saturnalia. Lo Saturnalia was the traditional joyous greeting, similar to saying Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. The context, while physical cards were not used in antiquity, modern interpretations often use this phrase on cards, highlighting the themes of liberation, feasting, and the world turned upside down. These festivals are basically a celebration of the return of the sun, ushering in the coming of spring. You didn't know that you were celebrating the sun returning when you celebrated Christmas. You didn't know that all your candle lighting and plugging in your electrical candles and all that was representations of Saturnalia, the worship of Saturn. Rituals. Christmas replaced Saturnalia as a holiday when the Roman Catholic Church, Emperor Constantine sanctioned Christianity. It was not readily accepted throughout the world. Okay, it wasn't. In the Western world, Christmas was officially outlawed in Massachusetts, in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1659, due to a Puritan disdain for its disorderly celebration. Disorderly celebrations? What do you mean? All that stuff that they was doing in Saturnalia. With a 5-shilling fine for observing it. The ban was repealed in 1861. So Christmas was outlawed for a long time. For about 22 years. Though Christmas did not become legalized, though Christmas did not become a legalized, widely celebrated federal holiday in the U.S. until 1870. It would go from quiet as kept observance to one of the most celebrated holidays worldwide through the commercialism. This is why Christmas is so popular around the world. Commercialism. The commercialization of Christmas began in the 1840s to 50s, shifting from a quiet religious day to a retail-driven event focused on giving gifts and children. Retailers led by Macy's began marketing and in-store Santa appearances in 1862. We're going to talk about Santa and who Santa represents. And early advertisements to boost sales. 1840s rise in retail. Merchants began promoting buying gifts as an essential to the holiday, transitioning away from homemade gifts. Now, the key milestones of this, the first, albeit primitive Christmas cards, appeared in 1843. Christmas crackers were invented in 1848. Department store influence by the 1870s and 1880s, large stores used elaborate window displays. For example, Macy's 1874 doll display, and advertisements such as Gamages in London, releasing catalogs as early as October. Santa Claus marketing. The modern customer-friendly Santa was heavily utilized and advertised by the late 19th century. Shift tone. The holiday transformed from the traditional community-based celebration to one focused on consumer goods and retailers pushing for longer shopping seasons. In other words, it went from celebrating the return of the sun with all the activities thereof to now you're in a cycle of buying gifts. People go into debt every year, maxing out credit cards and all of that to get gifts for their children for one day. Not even knowing that you are keeping a festival dedicated to the sun and to the god Saturn. And then you spend all year long paying them credit cards off, trying to save money or get out of debt, murmuring and complaining because you went into debt for Christmas. I'm going to let that sit right there. I'm going to let that sizzle in your spirit. We're going to pick up with Santa next week because we're still talking about rituals. And I'm using Christmas because it's the most famous ritual. And it's a ritual and I'm not just talking about Christmas, because there's a lot of things that I'm going to get into that we do that are rituals, but this is the most decorated one. And this is the one with the biggest lie. Oh, we represent Jesus. No, we're not. You're celebrating Sol Invictus, where the sun is at its lowest and darkness is at its greatest. While the earth transitions seasons as we begin to go towards the spring season. Ain't got nothing to do with no baby Jesus, no Yahweh, Yahshua, Yehoshua, and all them shuas. But it's a ritual that you willingly, unknowingly partake in, just to give an offering unto Saturn. Now, you feel free to go back and research and look up anything that I have put out. But the bottom line is this. There are rituals being performed, and you are partaking in them unwillingly and being robbed as a result. This has been the Existence Changing Experience that is the Institute of Biblical Studies of Higher Consciousness. I'm Pastor Walker, and it's my pleasure to give this word to you as it's given to me. And I believe that you will have the guts to go back and research what I've put out so that you can operate with consciousness, because you even have to die consciously or ascend consciously. They don't want nobody using death no more. I don't know where this unalive stuff came in from. It's about revealing knowledge so that you can make an intelligent decision and guard your soul. And hopefully not reincarnate in this realm anymore. But it's my pleasure to give you this word as it's given to me. And I hope that it encourages you or empowers you. That's the firm out. Creator of all, we give all esteem and honor to you. We're thankful for this word. We open our hearts and minds that we may receive the truth with gratefulness and gladness to create a complete foundation, a solid foundation within our being, that we want to operate with consciousness and intelligence and power and knowledge and wisdom, and not be deceived unawares by the people and powers that rule this life, that rule this world. Now, if we depart from this Zoom, but never from your presence, we pray that you go with us and keep us till we come together again. I speak these things in the name of the Creator, that it may come before the throne of the Almighty power. So be it. May the Creator bless and keep you. May He cause His countenance to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May He show you His mercy and be His peace. Peace, love, and light. See you next week for more of the same.